Di tengah dinamika dunia yang semakin kompleks, perspektif global menjadi kunci untuk memahami tantangan dan peluang yang melintasi batas suatu negara. Pemimpin negara, inovator, hingga tokoh-tokoh penting dari berbagai bidang membawa beragam pandangan dan pengalaman yang memperkaya cara kita melihat dunia. Selama tahun 2024, Insight with Desi Anwar berhasil mewawancarai sejumlah tokoh mancanegara untuk menguak berbagai isu yang terjadi di dunia sepanjang tahun. Antara lain Presiden Ukraina, Volodymyr Zelenskyy. Dalam kesempatan berkunjung ke Ukraina, jurnalis senior CNN Indonesia, Desi Anwar, berkesempatan mewawancarai langsung Presiden Zelenskyy dan membicarakan kondisi Ukraina hingga peran Indonesia dalam mendorong dialog dan penyelesaian damai. Insight with Desi Anwar juga berkesempatan mengunjungi Timor Leste untuk bertemu langsung dengan Presiden José Ramos-Horta. José Ramos-Horta memainkan peran sentral dalam perjuangan kemerdekaan Timor Leste. Dalam kunjungan ini, sejumlah isu pun dibahas mulai dari sejarah Indonesia dan Timor Leste, kepemimpinan Presiden José Ramos-Horta, hingga kerjasama dan komitmen yang dilakukan oleh kedua negara untuk mendorong perkembangan ekonomi Timor Leste. Tokoh internasional lainnya yang berhasil hadir di Insight with Desi Anwar adalah seorang ekonom terkemuka asal Amerika Serikat yang dikenal karena kontribusinya di bidang pembangunan berkelanjutan, pengentasan kemiskinan, dan kebijakan ekonomi global. Jeffrey Sachs yang kerap menyerukan pentingnya pembangunan berkelanjutan di kawasan ASEAN, termasuk Indonesia. Pentingnya kesadaran akan kebijakan ekonomi dan sosial yang selaras dengan pembangunan berkelanjutan menjadi highlight dialognya bersama Desi Anwar. Insight with Desi Anwar juga berkesempatan untuk mewawancarai seorang inovator dan pendidik terkemuka di bidang teknologi yang juga merupakan presiden dan dekan Asia School of Business di Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, Profesor Sanjay Sarma. Profesor Sanjay menjelaskan bagaimana teknologi digital seperti kecerdasan artifisial atau AI perlu dimanfaatkan oleh Indonesia sebagai medium yang mampu mengakselerasi pertumbuhan negara menjadi negara maju. Profesor Sanjay juga menyebut bagaimana peran penguasaan teknologi menjadi kunci dalam membentuk SDM Indonesia untuk mencapai tujuan Indonesia Emas 2045. Tidak hanya tokoh internasional, Insight with Desi Anwar juga berkesempatan untuk berdialog bersama musisi asal Indonesia yang karirnya sudah go internasional, yaitu Anggun C. Sasmi. Tidak hanya sukses di dunia musik, Anggun juga aktif dalam berbagai kegiatan sosial. Ia kerap menjadi juri di ajang pencarian bakat internasional dan menjadi duta untuk berbagai kampanye sosial kemanusiaan. Kegigihan dan semangatnya menginspirasi banyak orang, terutama generasi muda. Dengan segala prestasi yang telah diraihnya, Anggun membuktikan bahwa bakat dan kerja keras dapat membawa seseorang meraih kesuksesan di kancah internasional. Melalui perspektif global yang dihadirkan oleh tokoh-tokoh penting ini, kita dapat memahami bahwa solusi atas tantangan dunia memerlukan kolaborasi, pemikiran lintas batas, dan keberanian untuk berinovasi. Pengalaman-pengalaman mereka yang dibagi dalam program Insight with Desi Anwar diharapkan dapat menjadi inspirasi untuk membangun masa depan yang lebih inklusif dan berkelanjutan.
What happened there? What year?
Saya saat ini sedang berada di Istana Presiden di Kiev, Ukraina. Saya dan beserta 7 wartawan dari negara-negara Asia lainnya sedang menunggu untuk bertemu dan mewawancarai Presiden Ukraina, yaitu Presiden Zelenskyy. Wawancara ini dilakukan di sebuah ruangan yang cukup indah yang biasanya digunakan oleh Presiden untuk bertemu dengan para wartawan, khususnya yang dari mancanegara. Mr. President, it's a great pleasure and honor for me to be here to meet you. I'm Desi Anwar from CNN Indonesia, and Indonesia, as you know, is a country of 275 million people. We're currently the chair of ASEAN, which is a region of almost 700 million people. And if you remember, last year Indonesia held the presidency for G20, and if I recall, you were also invited to attend the summit in Bali. Now, I have two questions, and the first one's regarding the visit of Indonesia's president last year, President Joko Widodo. He came here, and I don't know how much you recall about the visit, but I'm curious to know the significance of that visit to you personally and to Ukraine, and also the idea of Indonesia playing sort of the role of the peacemaker. As you know, Indonesia also has friendly relations with Russia. And my second question is the latest development in the Middle East. And Indonesia has the largest Muslim population in the world, and we're very concerned over what's happening in Gaza, particularly the destruction of Gaza, the humanitarian crisis, and the number of civilian deaths. And historically, Indonesia has always proposed for the two-state solutions for Palestine. And I'm just interested to know, what are your thoughts on the issue regarding these events, and also now that the world's attention is looking at that part of the world, how does it impact your struggle to win the war against Russia? And are you concerned that it might distract or perhaps, take away some of the support or attention which is much needed by Ukraine in the fight against Russia? Thank you.
Перш за все, мені було дуже приємно на G20 в Індонезії за запрошенням президента Відодо звернутися до аудиторії світу і запропонувати формулу миру. Саме спеціально до G20 в Індонезії ми написали цю формулу, я її запропонував. І завдяки Відоду у мене була можливість звернутися до двадцятки. Це перше. І це дуже було важливо від нього, що він здійснив свій державний офіційний візит в Україну, тому що це завжди сигнал іншим представникам на інших континентах всього світу, що приїдьте, подивіться, поспілкуйтеся, потім робіть висновки. Я думаю, його візит, і G20 це мало вплив на інших представників всього регіону і всього світу. З Європою зрозуміло, у нас історичні відносини, ми тут близько, ми більше знаємо один про одного, але це дуже важливо принести цю інформацію всьому світові. І я вдячний президенту Відодо за цю допомогу. Тобто інформаційно точно допоміг, платформа також була важлива, і у мене була можливість звернутися. Хоча часу вони давали дуже замало. Формула у мене велика, вони часу давали дуже замало. Що стосується ситуації на Близькому Сході, безумовно, це страшна трагедія, яка принесла тільки горе. Горе двом народам. І тому наш принцип абсолютний і справедливий, ми так вважаємо, принцип України, це принцип визнання двох держав і двох народів з повагою до них. І це дуже важливо. Але цей принцип не всім він цікавий. І цей принцип не поважають інші, я так вважаю. І вони зацікавлені з постійним розхитуванням цієї ситуації між Ізраїлем і Палестиною. І тому ми засуджували терористичний напад Хамасу на цивільне населення Ізраїлю. І тому так дуже важливо було швидко розібратися з цим і зупинити все, і не допустити гуманітарної катастрофи. І тут ми всі ці сигнали передавали всім державам, і тому ми вважаємо, що саме щодо Ізраїлю і Палестини, саме принцип визнання двох держав – це єдиний принцип, який може спрацювати. Зі свого боку, ми дуже хотіли і робили все, щоб не тільки українці були звільнені з Гази, а там були представники багатьох держав, і це дійсно дуже складна ситуація і дуже небезпечна ситуація. І всім країнам треба було робити все, щоб звільнити цивільне населення, щоб діти не страждали. Ви бачили, скільки всього там відбувалося, скільки всього було. Але я вважаю, що за цим стояла, ми це говорили, Росія. І не тому, що Росія воює проти нас, а Росія за цим стояла, Іран за цим стояв. І в постачанні зброї, і в тренуванні людей, і розхитування цієї ситуації. Це ж не війна, яка з'явилась у цьому році. Ми розуміємо, скільки років цій війні, і вона буде продовжуватись, коли хтось в цьому зацікавлений. І всі знають відповіді, хто зацікавлений, і все одно світ кожного разу, знаєте, як вирішує цей конфлікт. Називає це конфліктом, хоча це така сама війна. Вона просто як будь-який, заморожений конфлікт, як вулкан, який постійно туди хтось щось кидає, зброї, або ще якісь меседжі, або щось таке зробить, спровокує, і воно знов підірветься. І навіть коли якісь країни, які стоять осторонь, хочуть зробити так, щоб був спокій, обов'язково хтось знайдеться і обов'язково буде конфлікт. Зі свого боку, я думаю, що світ розуміє, що ми не могли відправити в Палестину гуманітарну допомогу через те, що люди відсилають нам гуманітарну допомогу. Просто це зовсім, зрозумієте, ми в війні, і як це буде просто виглядати, що ми беремо допомогу, яку відправили нам, і відправляємо їм. Я думаю, це ситуація для вас, для світу абсолютно зрозуміла. Я знаю, що всі розуміють нашу ситуацію, всі зрозуміли, що в цій війні постраждала Україна також. Це частина вашого запитання, що допомога відволіклась від ситуації в Україні і від України. Всі розуміють, що ситуація розфокусувалась. Всі розуміють, що забули про Україну і переключилися на ситуацію Близького Сходу. І я вважаю, що саме цього добивалася Російська Федерація. І я вважаю, на жаль, я хочу визнати, що вони в цьому отримали бажаний для них результат. Да.
How do you feel personally about it?
Чесно кажучи, я не зовсім розумію людей. Якось я відповідав журналістам. Я просто не зовсім розумію в цілому, чому люди не хочуть жити спокійно, чому вони не розуміють, що кожного разу, коли ти береш в руки зброю, що воно обов'язково забирає чиєсь життя. І це питання не народу, це питання не землі, це питання не національності. І питання не в тому, євреї, мусульмани чи православні люди. Питання не в релігії. Просто це питання людського життя. І це найцінніше, що є. І тільки ті, хто не знаходяться в війні і не втрачають людей, вони абсолютно не можуть зрозуміти, що це таке. До чого може призвести будь-яка війна.
Republik Demokratik Timor Leste adalah sebuah negara pulau di Asia Tenggara dengan populasi penduduknya mencapai 1,4 juta orang. Negara tetangga Indonesia ini mendapatkan kemerdekaannya pada 20 Mei 2002 setelah mayoritas penduduk memilih menjadi negara sendiri. Sebelum merdeka, Timor Leste merupakan provinsi termuda di Indonesia yang bernama Timor Timur. Pada 30 Agustus 1999, warga Timor Timur mengadakan jajak pendapat atau referendum untuk memilih lepas atau tetap di Indonesia. Setelah 21 tahun merdeka, beginilah wajah Timor Leste. Timor Leste kini dipimpin José Ramos-Horta. Pria kelahiran 26 Desember 1949 ini kembali terpilih menjadi Presiden Timor Leste untuk periode 2022-2027. Setelah sebelumnya menjabat presiden pada periode 2007-2012. Pada 2008, Presiden Ramos-Horta selamat dari upaya pembunuhan yang dilakukan oleh anggota kelompok militer pemberontak. Ramos-Horta menuding jurnalis Indonesia Desi Anwar membantu tokoh pemberontak dalam insiden serangan terhadap dirinya. Bahkan Ramos-Horta sempat mengancam akan mengangkat masalah ini ke Dewan Keamanan PBB.
Insight with Desi Anwar kali ini berada di Dili, Timor Leste. Ini adalah sebuah negara yang termuda di abad ke-21 ini setelah meraih kemerdekaannya dari Indonesia pada tahun 2002. Dan terus terang terakhir saya berada di sini adalah pada tahun 1991 yang tentu saja saat itu Timor Timur namanya itu merupakan provinsi atau bagian dari Indonesia saat Indonesia menganeksasi daerah ini ketika Portugal meninggalkan jajahannya. Nah, kita sekarang berada di sini untuk melihat bagaimana kemajuan Timor Leste setelah 21 tahun merdeka dan tentu saja lebih penting lagi bagaimana hubungan antara Indonesia dan juga Timor Leste. Kita akan bertemu dengan Presiden Timor Leste saat ini yaitu Presiden José Ramos-Horta. Good morning.
Selamat pagi.
El Presidente José Ramos-Horta.
Selamat pagi.
Selamat pagi.
Selamat datang di Dili.
Iya, terima kasih banyak.
Saya kantor.
Bahasa Indonesianya masih bagus sekali.
Sedikit-sedikit.
Sedikit-sedikit. Okay. Thank you for welcoming
Thank you.
me, and it's a big honor. It's a
Pleasure.
great pleasure. Of course, I mean, we've known each other for, let's be honest, we've known each other for quite a long
We aged
time.
almost together.
We've aged almost together, and it's wonderful for me to be here literally for the first time since I came here in 1991. Different times, different days, different history, obviously. So there's peace now, you can say, relative peace.
So we had to reconcile healing the wounds among Timorese. And then we reached out to Indonesia. From day one, even before independence, like October 99, only a few weeks after the violence here, Shanana and I, we went to Indonesia. Met with all the Indonesian military leaders you can think of. They were there at the table. I saw their names. Wiranto, Simbolong, Kiki Sianakri, and everybody. And one thing that first struck me a lot was when there was an Indonesian general, I think Simbolong, Adam Damiri. He and Shanana greeted each other with a big hug, like old friends. And later I asked Shanana, who was that guy you gave a big hug? Oh, he was the one who captured me.
That's lovely.
Yeah. So what happened in the war happened. Nothing can be done about it. Indonesian side, both civilian, military society, showed extraordinary strength of attitude, of character. Because what Indonesia could have done out of spite, it didn't have to do anything directly harmful. It could have just turned its back on Timor-Leste. You want to be independent?
Go
Please
and
yourself. And no, they turn around, and from day one, Gus Dur came here, President Abdurrahman Wahid, in January 2000, before independence, with 2 Indonesian military aircraft bringing aid to Timor Leste. And Gus Dur went around to Indonesian universities and told them to accept Timorese students and to pay local Indonesian fee, which is cheaper. If we had to pay
Foreign,
international
yeah.
fee, no one would be able to go because people were so poor, we are so poor. So Indonesian support to Timor-Leste is far beyond what the statistics say. Can you imagine thousands of Timorese students today in Indonesia? If they were to pay $3,000 a year as a foreign student.
No, it's too expensive. Can investors find here?
Well,
invest
as
in?
we join ASEAN, that is an absolute priority for us. Membership in ASEAN will be part of a regional market of almost 700 million people with high income. And because we have virgin territory for investors, Indonesia already plenty of national conglomerates. So any foreign group go to Indonesia and they have to compete with the national conglomerates. It's totally natural. Or Malaysia, Thailand is the same. Timor-Leste is almost like the virgin territory. So very tempting for new investors or other investors in Indonesia who want to capture also this. For what purpose? In tourism sector, we need to build hotels, airport, transition from diesel electricity power
energy.
to green economy. We cannot choose neighbors. We can choose friends, but better that you have neighbors who are also friends. And Indonesia has been a great neighbor, a great friend. Australia has been a great friend, a great neighbor. So we are lucky the 2 closest neighbors we have, Australia, Indonesia, are great friends.
So in a way, your independence in 2002 actually improved the relationship between Indonesia and Timor-Leste.
Look at what Indonesia was before Timor independence and what it is today. Its views is always solicited internationally, is respected everywhere. Its economy flourishing in the midst of the downturn worldwide. So Indonesia gained tremendously with democracy and with freeing itself from East Timor.
Yeah, and we want to maintain Indonesia's democracy.
Yes,
Because this
exactly.
is something that we fought for in 1998.
Exactly, yeah.
President Ramos-Horta, thank you very
Thank
much
you,
for
Ibu.
inviting me to this
Ibu, Desi,
extremely
terima kasih.
insightful conversation, and I'm glad to see that you're well, and I hope you continue thriving. And yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to
Thank you.
coming back again, because I hear the whale sighting
Yes, please.
here is incredible.
Yeah.
So
Please do
many
come.
things to do, many things to see.
Thank you.
Once again, thank you very much.
Ekonomi dunia telah mengalami kemajuan pesat selama 2 abad terakhir. Di abad ke-19 dan 20, ekonomi global melonjak 100 kali lipat. Populasi dunia diproyeksikan mencapai 9 miliar pada awal 2040, dan dengan pertumbuhan sekitar 2% per tahun, ekonomi diprediksi akan berlipat ganda setiap 2 dekade. Namun kemajuan ini bukan tanpa tantangan. Krisis iklim dan kemiskinan yang merajalela menuntut solusi inovatif. Untuk itu, pendekatan pembangunan berkelanjutan atau sustainable development perlu menjadi kunci. Pendekatan holistik ini menyeimbangkan pertumbuhan ekonomi dengan pengentasan kemiskinan dan pelestarian lingkungan. Dengan demikian, trade-off antara kebijakan yang mendorong pertumbuhan dan kebijakan yang melindungi lingkungan dan masyarakat dapat diminimalisir, bahkan dihilangkan. Optimalisasi sumber daya manusia, inovasi, dan teknologi adalah kunci untuk mempercepat pertumbuhan berkelanjutan di tengah krisis iklim dan kemiskinan. Pembiayaan berkelanjutan atau sustainable finance memainkan peran penting dalam mendorong ekonomi berkelanjutan sesuai dengan prinsip ESG, yaitu environment, social and governance, atau aspek lingkungan, sosial dan tata kelola secara terpadu.
Kali ini wawancara eksklusif dengan Profesor Jeffrey Sachs, seorang ekonom senior terkenal di seluruh dunia dan juga seorang profesor dari University of Columbia. Jeffrey, welcome to Indonesia.
Thank you.
So great to see you.
Great
so
to be back.
And in terms of the effectiveness and also the target for 2030, these solutions, can they really be implemented, with that kind of speed and collaboration, especially when we have a changing of administration coming up in all these various places, including the US and Indonesia, and what's happening in, with Russia, Ukraine, and then China and everything.
So these particular 17 SDGs were set and voted on unanimously on September 25th, 2015. And then a few weeks later, December 12th, 2015, they gavelled the Paris Climate Agreement. So within a few weeks, two major sets of goals were adopted. And I said, great, let's roll up our sleeves. We have 15 years, let's hurry.
15
and
years.
of course, nothing happened. I would say 17 goals. Governments looked at this and said, what are we going to do? This is so complicated. How does this fit our budget? What does this mean? One of the first countries actually to say, oh, that works. We can put this into our framework was Indonesia. Bappenas, the planning ministry, did a wonderful job. It was the first time that I was presented as special advisor to the United Nations Secretary General on these goals with a government structure that said, we're going to do it. I took the Indonesia plan all over the world, say, look, they're doing it. So Indonesia played a very lead role.
It was a Bali roadmap, I remember.
Exactly. But then, most governments first couldn't quite do it. Second, the finance was not there. Then came COVID. And COVID was a disaster for the world. We're still not exactly past that disaster. That in itself
there could be more pandemics
is
in
a
the
long
future.
story. But just to say, major disruption. And then by the time we were getting out of COVID, war in Ukraine, and if that was not bad enough, huge US-China tensions. If that wasn't bad enough, then came the war in Israel and Gaza. And this has been horrible. I've had the chance to testify twice to the UN Security Council in the last 2 years about these issues. I said in my testimony, and I think I was right, and I was analytical, and I said to them, because those are the 15 countries responsible for this under the UN Charter, you can solve these wars, you can end them now, because they have reasons. They don't just come out of the blue. The Israel-Gaza war is because there's no state of Palestine. This is clear. There's no rights of the Palestinian people. We need a state of Palestine. I said, make them the 194th UN member state now. Don't delay. Okay, that's an example. We need to have some respect between the major powers. Where are the tensions between the US and China coming from right now? Two areas. One, China's become big, successful, powerful. I say great.
It's a big country.
1.4 billion people,
Absolutely.
and the living standards have gone up, and I've spent my professional lifetime watching that happen from 1981 onward. My first visit to China was 43 years ago. China was impoverished. I've watched the growth. I've worked with the government. I've trained a lot of Chinese students who are now senior officials. I'm delighted with China's rise, but in the United States it's viewed as, oh my God, they're a rival for us. I say, get over it. It's good that China's prosperous, but the specific crisis right now is, of course, over Taiwan. And the problem there is the United States is butting into China's internal affairs, and it should not do so. So my message to the UN Security Council was, behave. give some space. Don't get the whole world involved in superpower spats. Be prudent, be careful. Don't go right up to the other one and try to put your nose into their business. My main recommendation is we all calm down, take a deep breath, and work on the things that we should be working on together.
Blended finances, a blend of what, and how can that be applied in order to give some of that money in this direction?
Blended means two things. It means literally when you do a project, that some of that funding is going to come from official or government sources, and some is going to come from the capital markets or the banks. It's going to be bonds, or it's going to be bank loans, so that when you look at the structure of a project, you're going to see both kinds of capital on the balance sheet. It's going to be solutions that involve this rather more complicated mix of sources. But what it also means is not only the way that things are financed, but the way that projects or initiatives are actually done. Because if this country is going to convert to, and it has to zero carbon energy, private companies will play a big role because you'll have private power generation for sure. But the government's going to have to play a big role also, because I guarantee you those distribution lines that are going to carry the power from whatever solar field or wind or nuclear power plant to the population center, that's going to either be state-owned, probably a state utility, or it's going to be heavily regulated by government. So you can't do it just on a market basis. So both the financing and the design are a mix, and that's what blending means. Now, what it means practically for Indonesia is, it's true that public money isn't going to do the heavy lifting for a lot of things, but there's not enough public finance right now. Indonesia has a relatively low amount of tax to national income. Even the taxes that are on the books don't get collected all that well, let's face
around
it.
11%. I think
So there's a lot of tax evasion, there's a lot of revenue that should be collected that is not being collected. The revenues as a share of the national income is estimated by the International Monetary Fund to be about 16%. That's way too low. Because this government has a big responsibility. You look to the government, oh, you want school feeding? Well, it has to be paid for. You want schools? It has to be paid for. You want
health?
You want teachers that are qualified? You better pay them a decent salary. You want a health system? Thank you. You don't want that flood or that drought killing your community? Thank you very much. You want physical infrastructure? You want digital connectivity? Okay, part of that can be paid for by the private sector. But what about poor communities? They're not going to be digitally connected unless the government does it. So when we talked about roadmaps, a big part of the roadmap is, what does the government actually have to finance? My thesis would be for this incoming government, do the homework, take the vision, take the roadmap, figure out what's needed, and I'll bet that you need more revenues than you have in your budget right now. Now, what are you going to do about it? Either you're going to collect more taxes now, or you're going to put in place a sequence of revenue raising over time. So maybe it starts very small now, but in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, it's not 16% of GDP. Maybe it's 20, maybe it's 25%. I don't want to pull a number out of the hat. I want to link it to the actual roadmap. I want Bapinas to say, this is what we're really going to need so that in 2045 we are where we at. And then the politicians, we don't like that, but this is what we need to do. This is our homework assignment.
Okay. Professor Jeffrey, thank you so much for insight, and I hope, definitely Indonesian, the new administration will listen. So if we want to fulfill our ambition to be what we call the golden Indonesia by 2045, the China model is actually a much more effective model, isn't it? So
Indonesia's going to make it. Let me give you a prediction.
We will make it.
Yes, absolutely.
And we can just copy paste from
No.
existing success stories, or we can
Nobody
create.
copies and pastes. Everyone looks around, studies what's working, says how does our culture and our society do the best for us, but learning from the others.
But why are you optimistic that we will make it?
Yeah, it's a wonderful country, and I really believe it's going to make it.
Okay, let's hope you're right. And let's hope we're still going to be around to see it.
No, that for sure. That's what we got to work on. For the big boys, calm down, stop. We want to be there. We want the future. We want to build.
Yes, again, thank you so much for your insight.
Penguasaan ilmu pengetahuan dan teknologi menjadi kunci untuk membangun kekuatan daya saing Indonesia. Teknologi digital seperti kecerdasan artifisial atau AI perlu dimanfaatkan sebagai medium yang mampu mengakselerasi pertumbuhan negara menjadi negara maju. Terlebih lagi, Indonesia saat ini memiliki potensi pengembangan begitu besar dengan adanya bonus demografi yang tercipta 2 dekade terakhir. AI merupakan suatu kekuatan baru di dunia. Mengembangkan AI sama dengan meningkatkan kekuatan suatu negara. Bahkan kini negara-negara besar dunia saling berlomba untuk bisa menciptakan teknologi AI tercanggih. Di Indonesia, pengembangan AI juga menjadi perhatian khusus, sebab AI dinilai dapat mendorong percepatan transformasi digital di tanah air. Transformasi digital bahkan masuk RPJMN periode 2020-2024. Saat ini pengembangan AI di Indonesia diprioritaskan pada 5 sektor utama, yaitu sektor kesehatan, reformasi birokrasi, pendidikan dan riset, ketahanan pangan, serta mobilitas dalam mewujudkan smart city.
Penguasaan ilmu, pengetahuan, dan teknologi tentu saja menjadi kunci untuk membangun kekuatan daya saing agar bangsa Indonesia terus maju dan berkembang sesuai dengan cita-cita bangsa Indonesia. Nah, teknologi digital perlu dimanfaatkan oleh Indonesia sebagai medium yang mampu mengakselerasi pertumbuhan negara menjadi negara maju. Terlebih di Indonesia saat ini kita memiliki potensi pengembangan yang begitu besar dengan adanya bonus demografi yang tercipta 2 dekade terakhir. Lalu bagaimana peran penguasaan teknologi dalam membentuk sumber daya manusia Indonesia dalam mencapai tujuan visioner Indonesia Emas 2045? Sudah ada di studio bersama saya seorang tokoh terkemuka di dunia akademis dan bisnis yang juga merupakan CEO, Presiden dan Dekan Asia School of Business, Professor Sanjay Sarma. Professor Sarma, good to have you with us.
Such a pleasure, Desi.
And it's, you know, we talk about technology now, we talk about AI, we talk about everything, you know, the Internet of Things. And it's just very much a part of our life. And it's very much a part of, you know, in my line of business. I started 30 years ago when we just had like a TV and an analog television. Now everybody, they can create their own television. So when we talk about the evolution and technology, and I mean, given your background, your stellar academic qualification, you're a mechanical engineer, you're a professor at MIT, and now you are the Dean of Asia Business School in Malaysia. Tell us a little bit, about where you see all this technological revolution is going to, and where are we in terms particularly of the AI revolution?
I'm not a huge fan of Winston Churchill, but I'll quote him. This is just not even the end of the beginning, really. This is the beginning of the beginning. Our technology has started accelerating. It started accelerating during World War II, then it started accelerating at the end of the 20th century, and now it's on an incredible path. Mm-hmm. And there's so many fronts. Just imagine if COVID had occurred 15 years ago.
Yeah.
The world would have shut down. But mRNA vaccines, fast vaccine development, internet, they saved us. But if it's the internet, it could be biotech, it could be the Internet of Things, it could be controls, it could be telecommunications, 5G, and of course now things like artificial intelligence. What's happening right now is that there's a momentum of its own, and society is absorbing much of it. Much of it is good, not all of it is good. For example, We could argue that social media hasn't been generally
Yeah.
good, right? It's caused polarization. It's, young people are absorbed
Yes, it's
into it.
causing also mental health problems.
Mental health problems, addictions. So I think we're at a very important juncture where society and technology have to come to grips with each other. The technology is being pushed because it's you can sell it. But I think we have to collectively think about how technology and society can work together from a policy perspective, from a philosophy perspective, from an education perspective. It's not that different from climate change. We're having our judgment day is coming, and we better get to work in understanding, absorbing, and discussing it.
Technology in the workplace, technology in business. Let me just, I get quite philosophical, Sanjay, because I think at some point this is going to be sort of an existential question. The way that the world goes around at the moment, what makes the world go around? It's money. The economy works. We divide between the successful and the non-successful, the developed and the non-developed is on things like the GDP, the size of their economy, the things that they produce, the things that they manufacture. These are numbers. We don't sort of judge them by who's happiest, who is healthiest, who has the best attitude to life and so on. But then these, number crunching is what AI is very good at. What would be, the jobs of the future for us humans when, for example, everything that's repetitive, which is everything, when we manufacture something, we repeat. There is an algorithm, it's the step by step. When we produce something, there is a process. And these can be taken over by AI. What should be for AI and generative AI? What should be for humans?
Look, I think you put it very profoundly. In fact, we have systematized everything. Repetition is what this economy is based on. So we're trying to make things repetitive, and that's why robotics and AI is so powerful. It takes those jobs away.
Yeah.
Right? It's the exceptions. In fact, we have a word in the English language. When someone's really good, we call them exceptional. Right? So you've got to make human beings exceptional. Today in the hotel where I was staying, I had a problem with my internet. The vast majority of the communication could have been done by AI, but the final resolution was done by an expert. Right? So we have to really focus on getting people. We have a cookie cutter model for education right now. Coming back to education, we're training everyone to do the same thing. We're training them to be robots, and I like to say, you train them to be robots, and then the real robots showed up. You shouldn't be surprised if they take their jobs. So you've got to train them to be human. So what does that mean? Problem solving. AI, by the way, is not that smart. Let me just tell you, it's smart.
Not yet, maybe.
Not yet. I think the way AI is conceived today, it lives within the box of the things it's trained on, and it can parrot the next word and the next word, but it's not really thinking. AI can't, it has no conscience, or consciousness, I should say. It has no sentience. AGI, we're not there yet. So in the foreseeable future, we have to recognize what AI can't do and teach people those things. Now, they need to have enough of an understanding of what AI can do as well, so they can master it. It's like a horse, right? You got to ride the horse. So we have to identify those things. For example, I use the problem-solving example, right? But strategy. If I'm a farmer, can AI help me program a drone to get a map of where the moisture is? It's called a NDVI map, right? Yes, AI can help me do that. But how do I get irrigation to the place where it is less irrigated? So the farmer becomes more productive, the yield goes up. So it is that. We cannot ignore AI. We've got to figure out how to do better with AI. AI isn't going, one sort of pithy statement is, AI by itself isn't going to take your job. Someone with AI is going to take your job. So you have to be with AI better than someone else with AI in your field. And that's where you excel.
How do you see AI, and to a certain extent generative AI, is already changing the workplace? Give me some examples of...
Yes, 2 weeks, 10 days ago, I was on the AirAsia. I bought a ticket, which I had to change, and a automaton by the name of Mo showed up. No, Bo. His name is Bo. Bo is an AI agent. Bo said there was a typo on my name. I had to tell Bo that there's a typo on my name. He says, oh, you want a name change? There was no human involved. And I went in and I spoke to Bo and I got the name fixed. Now, it turned out I had another issue which Bo could not handle. And Bo fobbed that off to a human being who communicated with me in chat. So this human being now, with this AI agent called Bo, can handle about 10 times or maybe 20 times more customers than if they were just interacting with me directly. Because then they'd have to talk to me about the tedious stuff. Bo took over the tedium. So here's one example. Any service job, AI is going to make a big difference. Here's another one. You've probably seen those restaurant robots that go around delivering food, right? Just imagine if they could talk. Imagine if they could take your order. Imagine if they could tell you that, you know, I'm sorry, the nasi lemak is out. Would you like something else? Here are some alternatives. Imagine if they could take your payment. And of course, they bring your food. That means that a lot of restaurant jobs are at risk. But the chef's job doesn't go away. The person designing the menu doesn't go away. The person who says that I'm going to cook the omelette differently because the gentleman's order is different isn't going to go away. The tedium, you have to one by one go through every job category and figure out this one at risk, this one 50% automated. And you got to get people out of those roles into roles where they're likely to keep a job.
I want to finish. I'd like to ask you about, you know, we know what computers like. Well, we don't know where they're heading, but hopefully they're not going to be like human in the sense that they have consciousness and self-awareness and, you know, have all our senses. What is it that our strength that we can actually celebrate, and that these are the skills that we should keep and we should hone, and we should say, yes, this is what makes us human. I mean, we have all our five senses. We look at each other in the eye, and we have what's, you know, I feel empathy with you. I mean, if I WhatsApp you, I have no sense of, you know, I can be very rude and I don't feel bad about it, you know. So what is it that we need to?
You know, humans are very unique in that we have this thing called emotion. Not just humans, kittens have it.
Yes.
Right? Empathy, society, a sense of shared purpose, family. I actually think that that is something that AI will very much struggle with. We can't even really define what empathy is. We know something about something called the mirror neuron. But what is kinship? What is a parent-child relationship? Why are you loyal to, why will your parents do anything for you? These are all things I think we're exploring for the first time now in the face of AI. And they're the things that AI doesn't know how to do. When Deep Blue defeated Gary Kasparov, the joke was everyone in the world celebrated. Everything celebrated except Deep Blue because it didn't know what it meant to win, right? Couldn't generate that emotion, doesn't know what joy is. So I don't think AI is even nearly there. And this is where I think we need to double down.
Okay. Thank you, Sanjay. It's been most enlightening. Thank you very much for your insight. Although, like I said, we're now outsourcing our emotions to gadgets. Unfortunately, we're also...
I know, it's very sad.
Very sad.
But thank you.
Thank you so much. And I will be reading your book, The Science Transforming How We Learn. I mean, we do need to learn. You know, every day we have to change, we have to learn, we have to transform. It's a different world now.
Keep a job.
Ya, Insight with Desi Anwar kali ini berjumpa dengan teman lama dan tentu saja salah seorang penyanyi internasional favorit saya, Anggun C. Sasmi.
Makasih,
apa kabar?
Baik, selalu senang.
Selalu senang dan selalu cantik,
loh.
selalu anggun sesuai namanya.
Terima
Dan
kasih.
ini buat kita juga di Indonesia tentu saja kebanggaan karena Anggun ini jarang datang ke Jakarta, ya, dan saya udah beberapa kali ya kita wawancara, pernah di Bali dulu, pernah di Paris, dan akhirnya kita ketemu lagi di Jakarta. Dan saya orang yang paling tertarik mengikuti karir seorang Anggun, karena kalau kita lihat Anggun ini merupakan aset bangsa Indonesia. I was so proud of you. Jadi bisa cerita kali ini berkunjung ke Indonesia, katanya mau konser.
Iya, jadi konser tanggal 28 Juli Karena aku berusaha untuk bisa konser tuh setiap ya 6 tahunan sekali lah. Kepinginnya begitu supaya soalnya kasihan sama fans.
Kasihan sama saya, sudah lama menunggu setiap 5-6 tahun.
Iya, karena setiap kali kalau datang ke Indonesia, mungkin untuk private konser atau untuk ya acara pribadi lah, kan fans pada tahu kalau aku setiap kali kesini. Terus mereka tanya, Mbak kapan sih, kapan dong keluarin album baru lagi atau keluarin single baru lagi, atau ya minimal konser lagi deh. Gitu.
Dan katanya di film juga ya, main film juga.
Iya, jadi saya sekarang lebih gini loh, kan mungkin beberapa puluh tahun yang lalu saya pernah diminta untuk ikut main film atau tapi selalu nggak mau. Aku pikir ya wes lah.
Katanya kalau nggak salah pernah jadi the Bond girl.
Nah itu yang aku tolak.
Apa ditolak? Nyesel.
James Bond yang salah.
James Bond
bukan Daniel Craig,
bukan
tapi
Daniel
Pierce
Craig.
Brosnan.
Oh, okay. Pierce Brosnan juga nggak apa-apa.
Iya sih sebenarnya pada saat itu dia cakep banget. No, karena pada saat itu bukan waktu yang tepat aja dan akunya juga nggak merasa legit gitu loh, nggak merasa oh aku bisa kerja di sini karena pada saat itu cuma musik aja yang ada di kepala. Dan sekarang aku udah mulai mikir kenapa sih kok dulu nggak mau tuh kenapa? Ternyata memang kalau sejujurnya karena takut aja, karena takut
nggak pede gitu.
Iya, nggak mau malu-maluin diri. Akhirnya belajar. Nah itu jadi
belajar,
buat aku
maksudnya ikut sekolah acting.
Belajar nggak sekolah tapi benar-benar iya les dan atau lebih nonton film yang mungkin art house yang lebih kan cara dan beda banget sih sebenarnya kalau aku nonton film Indonesia actingnya yang diminta tuh ya tergantung film directornya tapi ada kayak semacam kalau French acting itu kan nggak kelihatan ya.
Oh, jadi film Prancis.
Jadi aku sudah main di 2 seri di Prancis, satu dengan bahasa Inggris, satu dengan bahasa Prancis. Dan sekarang aku ada proyek untuk film Indonesia dengan satu sineas film yang masih muda, namanya Regas Banteja. Jadi seneng banget loh Mbak diminta main di filmnya Bregas ini dan dia termasuk sineas yang menang sudah multi awarded ya berkali-kali even di Cannes untuk satu short filmnya dia dan orangnya tuh sangat menjunjung tinggi budaya Indonesia dan film yang akan dimulai syuting akhir tahun ini ada kisahnya yang sebenarnya tuh nggak jauh letaknya dari desa bapakku di Kroya. Jadi sangat close to home gitu.
Ada nostalgianya juga.
Betul.
Ini akan kapan debutnya? Akhir tahun?
Mulai syuting akhir September sih, sebentar lagi. Jadi
berapa lama kira-kira syutingnya?
Sekitar 2 bulanan untuk aku sekitar 2 bulanan. Terus aku agak takut seneng sih.
Boleh ini nggak sneak preview kira-kira karakter apa yang dimainkan?
Karakter yang dimainkan
ini dalam bahasa Indonesia kan?
Bahasa Indonesia.
Nanti buat live stream, buat streaming device atau buat big screen?
Untuk big screen. Dan motivasi dan ambisinya dia adalah untuk makanya kita harus mulai syuting secepatnya. Karena dia kepingin masukin di dalam seleksi untuk Festival de Cannes. Mudah-mudahan bisa.
Pastilah bisa. Kita doain supaya bisa.
Amin.
Karena sekarang tuh banyak sekali film-film Indonesia dan ini bukan saja di streaming ya, tapi juga di big screen itu bagus-bagus. Sekarang standarnya itu beda sekali.
Betul.
Dibanding mungkin ketika Anggun pertama kali keluar negeri ke Eropa tahun 94-an ya mungkin kita kan waktu itu saat itu masih agak lesu kan industri perfilman. Sekarang
udah bangkit lagi.
So it's a good time untuk masuk. Tapi apa perasaannya ini merasa bahwa yes, this is my new thing.
Mungkin belum seperti itu. Tapi yang jelas aku merasa ini tuh yang aku senangi adalah ini hal baru. Dan aku selalu jadi seneng aja dikasih mainan baru dan belajar sesuatu yang baru. Karena kan sekarang tahun ini aku 50 tahun.
No, 50 is the new 20, trust me.
Katanya sih.
Age is just a number.
Betul. Dan aku selalu wanti-wanti bilang ke semua orang, bukan karena sebenarnya tuh nggak ada waktu yang tepat untuk atau waktu yang terlambat atau untuk memulai sesuatu yang baru. Dan aku mungkin buktinya bahwa di umur 50 ini aku sedang belajar sesuatu yang baru. Dan ini yang membuat aku tuh merasa lebih bergairah gitu loh. Dan kayak soalnya waktu aku lihat tahun lalu ya Michelle Yeoh yang memenangkan Oscar di umur 70 tahun.
Luar biasa aktingnya juga.
Luar biasa dan speech-nya dia itu sangat inspirational. Dia bilang don't let anyone tell you past your prime. Itu tuh powerful sekali. Dan buat aku tuh jadi, dan memang benar kayaknya kita tuh harus selalu diingetin siapapun kita, apapun usianya, it's never too late. Beneran.
Ya, tiap hari itu kesempatan untuk belajar.
Sesuatu
dan yang penting kalau kita lihat juga Anggun, you don't look a day over 21. So
make up, Mbak, make up.
Nah kan yang penting kan energinya, tenaganya dan semangatnya masih di situ. Jadi reinventing the new Anggun. Kita mungkin akan lebih banyak melihat Anggun itu di layar lebar, acting. Lagi terima kasih banyak. Kita juga ada rindu ketemu. Jangan sekali 5 tahun dong nanti.
Ya nanti kita telepon-teleponan, Mbak.
Terima kasih banyak. Merci beaucoup,
Merci,
Anggun. Dan ya jangan lupa ya dengan sering-sering datang lagi ke Indonesia supaya kita juga bisa bertemu dan melepas rindu. Ya demikian Insight with Desi Anwar kali ini bersama Anggun C. Sasmi. Jangan lupa Anda juga dapat menyaksikan acara ini di cnnindonesia.com dan juga di YouTube CNN Indonesia Insight with Desi Anwar. Stay safe, bye-bye.